We don't know if all the four corner schools got this, but we do know that Colorado got a signing bonus to come to the Big 12 thanks to some reporting from USA Today. Welcome into the channel. I am John Kurtz. Here on this channel, we talk college football, college basketball, and conference realignment, all from a Big 12 angle. Please consider subscribing if you have not. I go live on Wednesday and Sunday. The live shows are a lot of fun. Like the video, and I appreciate that. Leave a comment in the comment section. Agree, disagree, love me, hate me. All of that stuff is welcome. John-Kurtz-4 on Venmo as well if you'd like to support the channel that way. So USA Today put out a story about financial details of Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 predominantly. And I'll touch on that in just a moment because for some Big 12 fans, it will be disappointing to learn that the Big 12 is certainly not holding Texas and Oklahoma's feet to the fire on their way out the door of the league. But another thing that they uncovered through a Freedom of Information Act request was the fact that the Big 12 paid Colorado a $2.5 million signing bonus in late July as it began a new round of expansion. This is because of a document obtained, once again, from Colorado under an open record request. The expansion will add a total of 4 schools to the Big 12 next summer when Texas and Oklahoma leave for the SEC. Another very interesting nugget in all of this is that it is not clear whether Arizona, Arizona State, and or Utah have received or are receiving payments similar to Colorado's. So we don't know about that, and it's because of these open records requests and where they are at. So USA Today points out here, Utah denied an open records request from USA Today for its agreement, indicating, among other reasons, that its document remains in draft form. Okay, so it's not an official document yet, still in draft form. Seems like a technicality potentially to get off on, but apparently it worked. And then Arizona and Arizona State have not yet responded to respective media requests for their agreements with the Big 12. So that is a really fascinating detail that hopefully, maybe, we will learn at some point as to whether or not it was all four corner schools or if it was just Colorado. And even if it was just Colorado, I would understand it, like why the Big 12 would do that there, because the whole narrative throughout the entire courtship of the 4 corner schools by the Big 12 was that you needed to get one domino to fall and set everything else in motion. And Colorado was that domino. It was the first domino to fall. And even though in the immediate aftermath of Colorado leaving, the narrative from the Pac-12 side of things was that, well, look, it can be just easily replaced by San Diego State, and you would have better athletics anyway. You're in a better position. It doesn't really matter. What we came to find out after the fact was that it did matter because Colorado leaving helped to knock a linear TV deal off the table and give George Kliavkoff one less actual substantiated thing to put on the table for these schools when he was trying to keep the league together. Colorado's leaving killed one of the potential TV deals, made that tougher for George Kliavkoff to pull off, and made all of it a tougher sell to everybody. Plus, it really got Oregon and Washington back into the conversation with the Big Ten. When Colorado decided to leave, that opened up lines of communication much more for the Big Ten and Oregon and Washington and put that on the fast track, which of course was the thing that really did kill it. And I will give the Pac-12 reporters that yes, in the end, the Big Ten deciding to go through with that decision is a huge part of what made all of this come together the way that it did. So Colorado was a very important domino and one that is certainly worth $2.5 million. Like, you do what you got to do. These are decisions that even if it's not going to be long term, because we expect that the league is going to eventually take a different form, a different iteration, because that's how realignment works. For the next handful of years, this was wildly important, and just for your general survival to get to the next round of conference realignment, killing off the Pac-12 was a part of that. As harsh as it might sound, and as much of a bummer as it generally is with the state of college athletics right now, that was very important. So I'm on board with this. I think it made a lot of sense that the Big 12 would do it. But again, lots of follow-up questions that I would have there. What was the negotiation with that like? Like, what's Colorado using that money for? And are the other schools all getting it too? And then how does that get financed? Is that something else that will come out of the current Big 12 schools? Because right now, they're taking, the USA Today article here reported, they're taking about a $7 million hit, everybody that's currently in the league, Texas and Oklahoma included, to help front some money to bring in the 4 that were just added this year, because they are getting a lesser share, not a full share, but they are still getting somewhat of a share to come into the Big 12 now. So a lot to digest, a lot to break down. If you are curious about the Texas and Oklahoma piece of this that was in the article, which you could find linked in the description, You will find more information on that on the last live show that came out on Sunday, where I broke down the entire article. But the long and short of it is that Texas and Oklahoma were supposed to be foregoing $100 million from the conference under an agreement allowing the schools to leave a year early. The conference had said $80 million of that would be based on money the schools would not get in 2024-25, and the rest would be attributed to cuts in full revenue shares for 23 and 24. But later on, they find out that Oklahoma and Texas actually have not had any money withheld by the conference in 23 and 24. The only thing that has been reduced is the shares being reduced by roughly $7 million per school, like I said a moment ago, compared to what they received in 22 and 23. So basically, the Big 12 is letting Texas and Oklahoma off the hook, and it resulted in a quote like this from K-State Athletic Director Gene Taylor. He said the settlement left athletic directors at some of the continuing Big 12 schools, quote, kind of dumbfounded. That's what Gene Taylor said. He said, we fought back as hard as we could, but apparently the conference's lawyers advised them that the bylaws were not as rock solid as everybody thought, and we could be tied up in lawsuits forever. So the Big 12 decided not to go down the lawsuit and litigation route. They feared that that could really be a problem. Surprising to me, with an ironclad grant of rights that was praised in May, that the Big 12's grant of rights was so ironclad that their bylaws would not hold up there. But hey, I digress. That is the deal. Texas and Oklahoma also get some payments from ESPN, transition payments, they are called, to help weather some of this storm too. So for Texas and Oklahoma, it works out pretty swimmingly. They have to endure this one awkward year in the conference with the four newcomers, but then they'll get out without losing nearly as much money as they thought that they were going to initially. And frankly, the quick take on this from me is just that I would have been very upset about it 2 years ago. I probably still would have been upset about it a year ago, but by this point, enough time has passed. You kind of get to the point where you're over it. And at the same time, it just also is helped by the fact that the Big 12 wound up in as good a position as they possibly could have hoped by adding the four corner schools. Again, Brett Yormark has called that a dream scenario, and it was for the league. So you got your dream scenario, a.k.a. in the analogy here of a breakup. You got your new girlfriend. Things are going all right. Do you really need to turn around and spend time like wishing harm on your ex or trying to still fight with your ex? I think everybody is just at a point where it's like, hey, let's just move on. Now, I also understand why it would leave some athletic directors dumbfounded and wanting to fight a little bit more. Totally get that, but your TV contract is fine. $32 million a year is fine. Nobody is going to be totally crunched financially, and everybody now can just move on. You wrap it up, wash your hands of it, get Texas and Oklahoma out the door. But really good reporting from USA Today on this story. I know one of the contributors was Kirk Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman, but Steve Berkowitz is the author from USA Today. Again, you can read it in the description. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Live on Wednesdays and Sundays. Really fun live shows, sprinkling content throughout as well. You're getting Big 12 football, Big 12 basketball, conference realignment, all here on this channel. Take care. John -4 on Venmo if you want to support there, and I will talk to you all soon.